Good day, everyone. I am Gracie Calimpon, your next reporter for the day. Moving forward, let's now talk about the types of written language. Sounds familiar, right? That's because this topic was discussed and elaborated by the last group of reporters. For a short recap, we know that there are tons of different types of written language forms or texts. In the example given by the last reporters under teaching reading, we were able to identify the different genres of writing language or written language, such fictions, non-fictions, letters, academic writings, and etc. Under those genres are the forms or how the text was presented. Say for non-fictions, we have reports, editorials, essays, and a lot more. Now just imagine how many of these types will our learners be able to produce. In connection, our learners will need further understanding on how to create this written language types by means to study more of English, which is the focus of our writing inside the classroom. Now let's proceed to the characteristics of a written language, a writer's view. Again, familiar? You're right. This topic was also discussed by the previous group. The difference is that this time we are looking at the perspective of the writer itself, unlike from the last time where the reporters focused on the perspectives of a reader. Take note that some of the characteristics are present from the last discussion. If so, it will be a form of review on your part. Let's proceed. Number one, the permanence. Once something is written down and delivered in its final form to its audience, the writer abdicates or turn over a certain power. The first one is the power to amend or correct. The second one is the power to clarify, and the third one is the power to withdraw. This means that what the audience read or heard will be permanent. They have the opportunity to return to it again and again, or again and again. As a writer, it's a very scary operation. Just imagine the horror if you made errors in your written product. As a teacher, you need to properly guide and facilitate your learners, revise and refine their work as much as possible. This will provide confidence to your learners when presenting their work. I got you, kid. The second one is production time, the total time required to produce a final product. As a writer, please know that when creating written output, you are bounded by time. You can't do the mañana or the bahala na habit. With that, you should be able to produce a product worth reading regardless of the time limitations. To make this happen, we teachers should train our learners write outputs with sense. We should be mindful of the time. Therefore, in every written output of the learners, we should set time boundary and we should follow it and be strict about it. The third one is the distance. One of the thorniest problems or problem of the writers, the anticipation of the audience, which ranges from the general audience characteristics to how specific words, phrases, sentences, and paragraphs are going to be interpreted. Good writers should be able to read their own work using the perspective of their audience. They should make sure that the language they used will be interpreted given that we have what we call the diversity of audience. Oops, sorry about that. The next one is orthography, the manipulation of few dozen letters and other written symbol. Writers should master the mechanics of English writing to be able to identify, read, decode, and spell words. As teachers, please get to know your learners to be able to identify their skill level and conduct interventions if necessary. The next one is complexity. Writers must learn how to remove redundancy, how to combine sentence, how to make references to other elements of the text, to create syntactic and lexical variety, and many more. On the last discussion from the last group, there is a comparison between writing and speaking in terms of complexity, which is the nature of clauses. When writing, take note that as much as possible, try to be direct when constructing ideas. Use longer clauses to avoid redundancy, which is very common when speaking, since oftentimes it made use of short clauses. There is a repeating of subjects and verbs for clarity, a big error in fact when doing writing. The next one is vocabulary, the collection of words or phrases of a language. When writing, vocabulary is everything. Take advantage of the richness of English vocabulary. Make use of appropriate words when constructing your sentences and paragraphs. But take note to slow it down and always remember that your written output can surely be interpreted by your audience. Now, the last, formality, the prescribed forms that certain written texts must adhere to, which includes the proper ways of how to describe, explain, compare, contrast, illustrate, defend, criticize, and argue. To be able to directly recognize and interpret the written output, there should be a formal organization on the paragraph or the essay you are making, or a logical order, coherence, for it to be sensible to the audience. I hope you were able to learn something. If you have questions, you can address it in our Google Meet. Have a great day and thank you.